And this isn't a question, I just a comment. I remember the first time I probably saw you in all kinds of magazines and everything and just didn't realize who you were, but on the People's Choice Awards when you accepted the award for Beth. It was actually for the year 76, but I think it was in like 77, early
Correct.
77. And tell me about that. That must have been pretty good for a little Brooklyn girl, huh?
That was really, really probably my highlight of KISS. Of being with KISS. I mean, of course, I've been to their shows and cried and love, the Madison Square Garden, the Pride, as you're standing on that stage and going to Japan. But that was really
that was your
my highlight, and it was also very nerve-wracking. I was a nervous wreck. We were in Detroit. We knew we were going to win the award. They tell you for the People's Choice is one of the awards that they do let you know beforehand.
Right.
And especially it was only the third People's Choice Award, so people were they didn't know if they were really creditable or not. So they would let you know so that at least you'd show up.
Right.
So, because a lot of times people send people to accept their awards.
Right.
And that's actually what KISS did. They sent me. But I was sitting in, backstage at one of the concerts. I believe it was Detroit. And I said, we were told we were going to get it. And it was just Bill Coyne, Peter, Gene, and I at a table. And they said, well, we can't accept it. What are we going to do with the makeup? We're going to sit in the audience with the makeup, and then we also got a show that we've already booked. Like we're going to be playing that night. So I just jokingly, I just said, well, I'll accept it. And Gene
nobody laughed.
Goes, okay. And I thought my heart was
really?
out of my chest.
What did I just do?
I lost about 10 pounds in 10 days.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I had 10 days to get myself ready.
So you would look normal on television because it adds 10 pounds.
Well, I said then it'll work perfect.
There you go.
I'm losing the 10, and then the TV will put it back on.
We're speaking with Lydia Criss, who is the author of Sealed with a Kiss, the book of Lydia's life, and a lot of photos of KISS, over 1,500 rare and unpublished photos, and also you can get that autographed by Lydia. This one comes in from W.Y. Interesting name.
Okay.
How did you handle all of the women that were always around Peter?
Well, there weren't a lot of women around Peter. Not when I was there. I actually would try to be very nice to the ones that I did meet.
Right.
Peter was not, they kept them kind of sheltered.
Right.
They weren't always, I don't know if you ever saw pictures of the Beatles, they were always stuck in their hotel room.
Right.
So that's kind of the way it was. I mean, they were around people, of course, when they performed.
Right.
They'd have to walk through the hotel lobbies, and that was a little bit, when they would find out what hotel they were, but it wasn't too much.
Right.
And basically, I didn't see, maybe there were more women at other times when I wasn't around. I didn't go to every show, but more or less they'd get out of a limo and they'd be right in the backstage area already, and then back into the hotel. So it was like airport, hotel, limo. They didn't really get to mingle with the fans, unless if there was a party.
You mean all this stuff about women and partying is just smoke and mirrors?
It's true.
Okay. Anyway, we won't go there. This question comes in from Kyle, and I guess you can just give a time frame, and you don't have to go into any great detail because it's really none of our business. But Kyle says, when did the marriage start falling apart? I assume that's yours and Peter's.
The marriage started falling apart. Well, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that. We were that it was falling apart. But he met someone. He met Deborah, his second wife.
Right.
In April, I believe it was April of, or maybe March, the end of March of '78.
Mm-hmm.
And he had gone to California. We had just come back from the second Japan tour, and Peter and I went on further. We went to Singapore, Bangkok, Singapore, and Paris, and we circled the globe.
Wow!
And we came home on the Concorde, and that was the last trip I ever took with him.
Wow!
We actually circled the entire globe, and we flew home, and then we were home for probably about 2 or 3 weeks, and then he had to leave and do the solo albums, and Kiss Meets the Phantom.
Yeah.
And it was during that trip that he met Deborah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This in from Keith. What prompted Lydia, that's you, to call in to defend Peter on the Donahue Show on February 12th, 91, when he was being accused by a female guest as to having had an affair with him.
I was working at the time, and I had no idea that he was even going to be on Donahue. Believe it or not, my agent, my boss, her mother had called in and said, Peter's going to be on Donahue. And we happened to have had a TV in the office.
Right.
So we turned the TV on, and, it wasn't a lot of, it was a small office, so maybe about 5 of us. And we're sitting there watching, and I see this girl, and I didn't even know that, I knew of the story because if you read about it in my book,
okay.
The Star actually did call my photo agency for a photo of Peter without makeup.
Right.
And so we didn't know it was going to happen, the whole Star thing, but I didn't know he was going to be on Donahue,
right.
which was about 2 or 3 months later. And then, so I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden this girl kept saying something about, she kept saying things, and it sounded like she was really talking about my second husband, not my first husband.
Right.
No, not Peter.
Right.
And so I had to defend him. And I dialed in, and I kept pressing redial, and I finally got through.
Oh, so you didn't have the super secret hotline to Donahue.
Nope.
I can't believe you got through.
Just the way any fan would have gotten through.
Wow.
And they put me on hold because during a commercial, they asked Peter, do you want your ex-wife on the phone? And he said, we actually talked about this afterwards. He invited me to his hotel. We had drinks in the lobby.
Right.
Me, his wife, and my boyfriend at the time. And he thanked me for calling in and coming to his defense.
How about that? All right, we're talking to Lydia Criss and talking about her latest book, Sealed with a Kiss. All Kiss fans will want to get their hands on this, and the only way to get it right now is through the website, lydiacriss.com. I assume, is there any other way to get that, Lydia?
Not that I'm telling you only through the website.
Good. Control, Lydia.
Unless you go to a KISS convention, a KISS Expo, which I am doing one next.
Don't say convention, we'll get sued.
I know, you can't say convention.
No, someone holds the trademark to that.
Yeah, guess who?
Yeah.
Guess who owns that?
I'm surprised you could use the word on your book. I did notice it didn't have the logo, so you're good to go.
No, I don't have the logo, right.
Right. Okay, this question in from Corey. Are you currently on good terms with Peter?
I haven't spoken to Peter in over 10 years.
Wow.
I'm sure if we do speak, we're on good terms.
Yeah.
We left on good terms.
Good.
The last time I spoke to him was the week he signed contracts to do the reunion tour. And we were having he needed some paperwork that he knew I would have because I'm such a pack rat, as you can see when you see the book.
Right.
He called me up for some paperwork that, believe it or not, had something to do with the 70s. It was some tax problems. You'll read about that in the book, too.
Okay.
He said his paperwork was destroyed in an earthquake. So I sent him
good answer, Pete. Good answer.
What?
Good answer.
I know. And so I sent him the paperwork, and then I never heard from him after that. Mm-hmm. That was it. That was January of 96. Wow, what a